Stop everything. The compass you keep consulting is broken. What if I told you the answer to your biggest life dilemmas isn't out there, but deep within you? Listen closely. There is an intuitive compass, an ancient inner guide that knows the way when your mind is tangled in choices. In a world that praises plans, timelines, and endless options, we've been taught to look outward for certainty. Yet beneath the noise, something quieter, wiser, and far older waits, ready to lead you when you feel stuck between careers, torn about moving to a new city, or standing at the edge of a relationship crossroads. This is why navigating life's crossroads confidently matters now more than ever. Imagine your life like a map folded into a pocket. Modern life hands you flashlights, apps, and itineraries, but the map in your pocket is drawn by a hand you rarely consult. I will show you how to unfold that map. Picture a gentle pulse behind your forehead, subtle nudges in your gut, a soft no that arrives like a winter wind. These are the signals of your intuitive compass. They speak in whispers, through paradox and metaphor. When the loudest path seems right, the quiet one may be truth. When fear screams don't, curiosity often whispers, try. Stay with me to the end, and you'll be given a key, a practice and a perspective that begins to awaken that inner guide. A small ritual you can use the next time you face a terrifying, thrilling decision. This is not airy promise. It's practical transformation. Instead of paralysis when offered a new job, you'll feel a subtle yes or no. Instead of relentless planning before you move, you'll sense alignment. Instead of staying in a relationship out of habit, you'll hear whether your soul wants to grow with someone or alone. If you feel called to this, pause now and affirm aloud, I choose to awaken my consciousness. If this message stirs you, like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Tell me the crossroads you're standing at. Hidden secrets and deeper enigmas wait for those who stay. Truths that will awaken the pineal, open the third eye, and raise your vibration, so decision-making becomes an inner knowing, not a gamble. Are you ready to learn how to trust that quiet compass within and step forward with confidence? The universal experience of facing big life decisions, career shift, relocation, relationship changes, and the overwhelming feeling of uncertainty. A sudden flash of light pierces your inner vision, not bright like a revelation, but gentle, as if a lantern had been lit inside a cave you've been wandering for years. You know this landscape well. The heartbeats that quicken when a possibility appears. The late-night rehearsals of every possible scenario. The way your chest tightens, as if guarding against a mistake. These crossroads arrive like anchors dropped into calm water, sending ripples of doubt across everything you thought was steady. You stand at the edge, feeling pulled in directions that all feel right and wrong at once. Career, move, love. Each becomes a mirror, showing not just the decision, but who you imagine yourself to be if you choose it. There is a tenderness to this confusion. Beneath the panic and the lists and the voices telling you to have a plan, there is a quieter language waiting to be heard. Call it intuition, the inner compass, the third eye's gentle tuning. Whatever name sits truest with you, it does not shout. It arrives as texture, a soft expansion in the chest, an unclenching in the jaw. a recurring symbol in a dream, or a moment of sudden clarity that feels like coming home. The trick is learning to trust sensations that the world trains you to ignore. Society teaches us to value certainty, neat resumes, predictable maps, checkboxes complete. That pressure muffles the subtler senses. But paradoxically, the presence of not knowing is the soil where deeper guidance grows. The twist is this: uncertainty isn't the enemy of right choice. It's the invitation to listen. Often, your inner compass doesn't point to an immediate answer, but to the direction of alignment. It may ask you to move toward expansion rather than safety, to prioritize integrity over convenience, to follow curiosity until clarity forms. Sometimes, it nudges you toward a detour that looks like a mistake, only because your future self is learning to see. Practical proof lives in small experiments. Make a tiny move toward one option and notice how your body responds. Welcome a dream and trace its imagery. Create a quiet habit, even 5 breaths of full attention, and watch how the fog thins. Each small test is a conversation with your compass, calibrating trust. And remember this: every choice carries its own teaching. The fear of choosing wrong often obscures the truth that no path is wasted if you remain awake. Imagine uncertainty as the hush before a bell rings, not a void to be feared, but a threshold to be attended. What would happen if, instead of forcing an answer, you learn to listen to the tender signals beneath your fear and let them guide the first small step? Sharing relatable anecdotes of feeling pulled in multiple directions or paralyzed by fear of making the wrong choice. Have you ever stood in the kitchen at midnight, email half-written, suitcase open, heart pounding, feeling like the center of your life had become a Ferris wheel of options? One woman I knew loved the steady safety of her job and the furtive pull of a canvas in the evenings. She measured time in paychecks and paint stains, afraid to trade certainty for a promise that might never arrive. A friend faced the small town he'd always called home and a distant city that hummed with possibility. Each option promised a future, and both felt like betrayals of the other. Another soul sat across from a partner she adored and a calling she could no longer ignore, terrified that choosing one would amputate the other. You are not the only one to feel torn. These stories are not moral failures or weakness. They are the language of a deeper awakening. When your life approaches a threshold, the old world and the new speak at once. One voice rational, the other embodied, each tugging with equal conviction. Your body will stage a quiet rebellion, a tightening in the chest, a throat that won't swallow the word yes, an inexplicable tiredness that arrives the moment you try to decide. Those sensations are not errors. They are messages in an unfamiliar dialect. Here's a twist. Paralysis is not always avoidance. Sometimes it is sacred executive protection. Imagine a small gatekeeper inside you who refuses to endorse a choice until it recognizes the integrity of the whole soul. The wrong choice you fear is often the mind rehearsing consequences. The wiser fear is the body asking for alignment. This reframe frees you from the tyranny of immediate certainty. You can learn to treat hesitation as intelligence, not condemnation. Practical tenderness looks like experiments, not verdicts. Try whisper decisions. Make a small, reversible choice that mirrors the larger one. Book a day trip to the city you might move to. Decline a single project to create a weekend of studio time. Ask for one honest conversation instead of ending everything. Notice how your inner compass reacts: relief, constriction, a quiet brightening behind the eyes. Those micro responses are clarifying light. Remember how the pineal's subtle image of direction often arrives as a sensation rather than a sentence. A warmth at the center of your forehead, a soft exhale that says this. Cultivate a ritual of listening. Breathe into that place. Let options float like paper boats on a slow river, and observe which one arrives with a steadying presence rather than a drama. If the mind demands proof, offer it small data, time, curiosity, kind experiments. If the heart demands apology, give it space and truth. If fear shows up as a list of reasons to stay small, name it, thank it, and ask what it would need to feel safe enough to let you try. So when every direction feels loud and the idea of erring makes you retreat, consider this. What if the confusion itself is a doorway, and your trembling body is the compass insisting you learn to read the weather of your soul? What whisper might you choose to follow if you believed your inner direction could be trusted? The pervasive societal pressure to always have a clear plan, often silencing our inner nudges. The more the world demands a mapped life, the softer the whisper of your soul becomes, until you learn the art of listening in the hush. Everywhere you turn, there's a script. School, career, marriage, milestones. Timetables stamped into calendars. Houses to buy by X, promotions by Y. This insistence on blueprints trains a certain muscle, the planning mind, reliable, visible, measurable. But it also trains another habit, the silencing of the tender, off-schedule signal that lives lower, older, and far stranger than any to-do list. Imagine your inner compass as a subterranean river, slow and luminous. It does not roar. It shifts the soil beneath your feet in ways that feel like a hesitation, a pull, a sudden clarity in the chest. Society teaches you to ignore that shifting because it's inconvenient. Plans like predictable lines. Whereas the river prefers to curve. The pineal, that delicate moonlit gland, is the river's bedside lantern. When you rush only by clocks and checklists, the light dims. When you learn to slow, the lantern reveals currents that never fit a spreadsheet. There is a subtle violence in perfectionism's clubhouse. It takes the raw, beautiful uncertainty of intuition and frames it as risk. It names questions as failures. Try this reframe as a small rebellion. What if the pressure to plan is not only a trap, but also an invitation? The very force that pushes you into a neat life forces your inner compass to sharpen. In the face of external demands, intuition learns to speak clearer, to offer images and sensations you can trust, because it must. A practical doorway. When you feel that panic to decide, sit with a single breath and bring attention to the point between your brows. Don't demand an answer. Sense for a tiny impulse, a lean, a warmth, a subtle yes that comes as a loosening. Breathe 3 times into that place. Imagine the pineal's light tilting a fraction toward the choice. Let the body be your oracle for the minute it needs. If the plan feels like a cage, ask a different question. Not which is safest, but which choice makes my energy expand. The question invites the compass to show you direction. The twist is this: the world's map and your inner map are not enemies. One is inked for safety. The other hums with life. Your task is not to reject planning, but to let your deeper compass redraw the margins. How will you tend that subterranean river tomorrow? When everyone insists you already know the route. You made it this far, and that alone tells a story. Not everyone stays with their inner inquiry long enough to feel the shift. You did. Feel that? It's the soft recognition that you're answering a call only a few remember how to hear. For choosing to listen, for holding space for your own truth, you are seen, honored, and welcomed into a living circle of seekers who turn toward wisdom instead of running from it. If this message landed in your bones, drop a simple yes in the comments, a tiny beacon that tells the tribe, I'm awake enough to want more. Share, too, the truth you most want to uncover right now, a choice that trembles in your chest, a relationship that hangs between old stories and brave possibility, a move that asks for courage. Your words will not vanish into the void. They will meet others who carry similar questions, and in that meeting, something healing ripples outward. You are not just a viewer. You belong to a lineage of quiet rebels and gentle pilgrims who learned to trust the small, steady light inside. Think of the community we are building here as a hearth. Each of us brings a different ember. When embers touch, they become a fire that warms decisions, softens fear, and reveals the map beneath the fog. Here, we celebrate the missteps as much as the clarity, because each misstep rewrites what it means to be brave. Remember, the inner guide you've been seeking is not a loud oracle that demands obedience. It is a patient lodestar, an invisible cartographer tracing paths beneath your skin, calling you with nudges, images, and the sense of rightness that outlasts temporary comfort. It will never shout. It will appear as a steady yes, a hush, the way a certain direction makes your chest relax and your throat unclench. Learn its language by giving it small tests. A choice about dinner, a conversation you've been avoiding, the courage to turn off a screen and listen. Each tiny practice trains your perception, and each perception opens a corridor in your life that was previously closed. We move forward together, imperfect, curious, and brave. If this touched you, comment with what lit up inside, even a single word. Invite a friend who's standing at a crossroads. Let us keep tending the fire of shared awakening. Keep shining your light. Remain present, breathe, and absorb this energy in gratitude.